empty train car had smeared feces on a window in the shape of the Superman logo.
When I think of feces, I don't imagine it being so easy to make shapes with. Hello, one and all. We're back again with another episode. Episode 2. Today, I asked my followers, what is the craziest thing you've ever seen on public transport? There are some crazy times. First one.
Empty train car had smeared feces on a window in the shape of the Superman logo.
This is like a little bit too much information, but when I think of feces, I don't imagine it being so easy to make shapes with. If you're drawing with it, is it like an easy substance for you to be making shapes with it? I don't know. I don't have much experience when it comes to using my feces to draw things. Personally, I've actually never done that. I hope that I never will. But you don't know the crazy road that life takes you on, so I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for the time being. But like, all I'm saying is, I'm almost 100% sure that the Superman logo is actually quite complex. So, as like an act of defiance, it's pretty impressive. Like, look. That's the Superman logo. Surely he's not doing the borders as well. Outside of the fact that this man should obviously go to jail, you need to be locked up. But what I'm saying is, the fact that he's actually able to draw the Superman logo with also the border around it in his own shit is actually... I know this isn't the response that you wanted, but it's the response you've been given.
My first week in Bristol, a very drunk man had forgot to put the brakes on his wheelchair, so was pinballing around.
Right. To be fair, I definitely understand the circumstance because I pinball around when I'm sober. The underground is extremely aggressive, especially when you're on the central line. That bitch is moving left and right. So I definitely understand why a non-able-bodied person would make the same mistake. But the visual itself is interesting. I was going to say, like, what would you do in that scenario? But if you're a normal human being, you probably would help. You can't let a man just be pinballing around. Also, if that dude comes into contact with you, swear down you're going to die. The speed at which that's going, people have died for less. Imagine going to heaven and then at the pearly white gates, they're like, how did you die? And you're like, oh, I got hit by a drunk guy on a wheelchair in a bus. That's crazy. Nobody wants that.
I remember getting on a train, I think I was in sixth form. The next stop on, this woman gets on and she sits in the seats just in front of me. She pulls her bag up onto her and she pulls out these carpet samples. Like, they're small little squares, and then pulls one and just starts ripping it a little bit and biting into it. It was the weirdest thing. And she didn't seem to care too much that she was doing this in the middle of a train. About 4 o'clock on like a midweek. It was a bit weird. And I just watched her the whole way home, just eating carpet.
Okay. I have heard of people having weird obsessions with eating like specific foods. There was this one lady that absolutely loved eating mattresses. Let me Google it. Jennifer, 26, has been addicted to eating mattresses for more than 20 years and has consumed 8 beds in that time. Let's have a little look at Jennifer, see what she's saying. Okay, so she's a maniac. Yeah, I would probably say the carpet samples make sense. There are more textures to it, you know, so I can kind of get behind it when comparing it with mattresses, but I feel like I'm not fully appreciating how insane that is. Imagine if you were on a train at 4 p.m, you turn around and next to you, someone's just yamming the beige carpet sample. Like, I would think I'd lost it. I wonder if she looks at the colours and thinks that they're different flavours. Like a blue one is blueberry flavoured. I'd like to know.
Dude casually vomiting into his shirt.
Dude casually vomiting into his shirt. I can kind of see it though. I feel like we've all been there in terms of, you know, when you need to vomit. You gotta vomit, man. Like, what are you gonna do? To be honest, in this case, I am speaking from experience. This isn't really anything to do with being on public transport, because I wasn't. Well, I was kind of, because I was walking with my legs. But yeah, I remember there was this one time I was walking back from the club and I was feeling really, really sick. You know when you got that excess saliva going. So yeah, I was walking home. I was like, oh, I feel really sick. And my friend was like, make sure you're drinking loads and loads of water. I think I drank like a water bottle's worth of water. And she kind of was getting a bit tyrannical with it. And she kept basically giving me these bottles of water. 10 minutes after, I'd say I'd probably drank about 3.5 bottles. Fast forward maybe like 2 more minutes. I'm like, oh no, I'm definitely going to be sick now. I can feel it coming up. The first place I choose to throw up, I cut my hands. And I threw up into my hands. So when this person tells me that someone threw up in their shirt, it's better than just throwing up on the floor. At least if you're throwing up in your shirt, you're lifting your shirt and you're containing it. But then just think about how this man looks when he's walking out of the train, hunched over, huddling his vomit. The vomit is bulging because his shirt's tucked into his jeans. So he looks like Father Christmas, but after a bender and not old and not with a beard. That would be a mental thing to see. But I think as a whole, I've got respect for the dude because he had respect for us. That's the kind of guy that in a zombie apocalypse, if he got bitten, he'd shoot himself. He wouldn't pretend like he hadn't got bitten. So for that guy, well done and thank you for your service.
A man in a faux fur coat and top hat walking 2 rats on leads.
Flex. Where do you find the leads for the rats? Is that something that you can buy? Surely not. Can you buy... How do you spell leads? Okay. You can buy rat leads. The world has gone topsy-turvy these days. I definitely understand where your head's at in terms of that being quite a bizarre thing for you to see on your regular commute, you know, because it is. But I also respect it, man. Like, the guy is just trying to vibe. He's just trying to walk his 2 rats. Molly and Herbert. Everyone needs their exercise. He's obviously, like, playing into it because there's no reason for you to be wearing a top hat. It's, like, contributing far too much into the English stereotype as well because everyone outside of the UK already thinks that everyone from the UK is really posh and wears top hats and talks like the Queen and drinks tea, which the last one is true. Like, I drink a lot of tea. But yeah, he's definitely perpetuating a stereotype there. So I'd have more of an issue with that, I think, than the fact that he's walking 2 rats. But then again, I probably wouldn't because I do not like rats. It's the tails for me. It's the fleshy tails.
One time, me and a couple of friends, we were hanging out in the city. When it was time to go home, we decided to take a bus. Mind you, it's a Saturday night, so the bus stops, they were packed with drunk people. And all of a sudden, one guy, he caught my eye, obliterating his kebab. And everyone could tell this was like the best kebab he ever had. Okay, so everyone around him was still having a great time, including what seemed to be his, friend. They were sitting right next to each other. They were joking, laughing around. But this guy suddenly stands up, the friend that is, and starts beating him and kicking him in the face. The thing that really freaked me out was the fact that everyone, including the guy who was getting his ass handed to him, was acting like it wasn't even happening. This guy is still taking bites out of his kebab. I don't even know if it's okay to say it, but he was taking some great punches to the face. I'm not gonna lie. And after about a minute, they all entered the bus, and he proceeded to fall asleep on the lap of what seemed to be his girlfriend, who was at least double his size. I've never seen something like that happen in my life.
Right. The guy goes on a bus and sees a guy yamming a kebab. Fine, but gives us an indication to who that kind of person is because personally for me, a kebab is a home time food. So he's eating the kebab, talking to his friend. His friend then becomes his enemy, starts giving him grave punches to the face. He proceeds to still eat the kebab while he's being punched in the face, which seems counterproductive to say the least. In that sense, priorities should maybe kick in and you should think, you know what, let me protect my face. Maybe let's leave the kebab for a second. So, like, it's a pretty intense time for one person to observe. So many mixed emotions going on here. A few questions, to be honest, What was the girlfriend doing while this guy was getting absolutely brutalized in the face? I know you mentioned that she was, like, double his size. Surely that would help in a situation like that. She could just push him or like sit on him and then we'd have fixed the whole problem. But I guess the thing that I should be focusing on is the fact that he was eating his kebab while he was getting punched in the face. Yeah, definitely leaves some room for thought. I'd like to know where he got the kebab from because clearly it was so good that he couldn't put it down. That's like a very good advert for a kebab. So whoever did that kebab, you should be proud of yourself. And to the person this happened to, I'm sorry, I think. But then, to be honest, it sounds like you enjoyed it. So there's not too much to say about this. I don't know.
Once saw a man got caught on a bus carrying a bull's skull.
What's the story there, to be honest? Because why have you got a bull skull? Also, as the person that sent me this, how do you know that it's a bull skull? Is it just big? Do bulls have horns? I think they do. That's like quite a crazy thing to see. The guy's just walking into the bus, tapping in with his Oyster card. One hand, bull skull, 2 horns, poking his ears, other hand. You better hope to God the bus is not moving around quickly, jolting and everything when you've got that skull in your hand, because you're going to either kill yourself or someone else. That's introducing a whole new perspective that I bet he didn't think about. Where can you even find a bull skull? I mean, it's the same thing with the rat lead though, isn't it? Because you can always find a bull skull, man. It's like we're living in some crazy Harry Potter world or something. Why are there rats on leads? Why are there bull skulls everywhere? Okay, on to the last one.
Okay, so it was right when COVID started to really hit in Paris. I was riding the bus back home, and I saw a lady picking up a few masks. There were like the blue ones. Well, they were kind of grayish, actually, because they were on the floor. She noticed me looking at her, and she was like, I'm just gonna wash them, I'm just gonna clean them, you know?
Oh my god. Okay, let me set the scene here. Peak COVID. Thousands a day are dying. You're sad, you're confused. You're locked in your house. You decide, because of absolute urgency, that you need to get on the train this day. You walk off the train and you turn around and you see, to your surprise, someone is picking up disposable face masks and putting them in her bag. Are you doing an art project? Like, what's the story here? I need to understand why she'd be picking up used face masks. She can't be wearing them. And you can't even wash those face masks. They're disposable. I bet you, if you followed her back home, she'd just have a whole wall with face masks just pinned to the wall. That's her wallpaper. You know that's how the Delta variant started. I'm not even going to cap with you right now, guys. Okay, guys, so that is the end of episode 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave me any questions in the comments that you would like me to ask next. If you like, maybe, please. Thank you very much. Bye.